All right. Good to see everybody. It's a great time of year. Super proud of my kids, man. I'm just so happy for them. It's really special that I wish we could play in front of more people than just our parents in those first, in that first ball game and hopefully thereafter. But as I told them tonight, this is why you keep playing. We moved ourselves up a seed line, winning a game in the tournament and then playing well against Baylor. I mean, it's a 5-point game with 3 minutes to go. And I think the committee probably rewarded us a little bit for that. We've played Baylor twice in the last, 14 days and 13 days and went toe to toe with them. So I just, I want it to be a learning process for them and understand, man, the season is such a grind and you just got to stay in the grind, man. That's what we keep telling them every day. Stay in the grind. It is, you just can't look past anybody. You worry about one game at a time, one team at a time, and just stay in the moment. And the moment then will take care of the big picture. So really happy for our kids. It's exciting. It's a little bit of a time now. I wish I'd have known I wasn't playing on Monday. I might have given them today off as well. We took yesterday off and we went today. And there's so many things that go into, I don't have time to tell y'all all the nuances that are going into us traveling and what we have to do when we get there and what we can and can't do when we get there and what we might be able to do, might not be able to do. I mean, there's a lot into it right now. But again, and I think my team's excited. I think those girls are excited in there, and they should be. They've worked really hard. I think we're playing as good as we've played all year. I really do. And so we'll, we had a good practice today, and we'll get back at it again in the morning.
Danny Davis, you can start us off.
Vic, when you kind of look back at the season, 4 of your guys' 9 losses are against teams that are either going to be, 2 or 1 seeds in this tournament with Baylor and A&M. What did you learn about your team in those losses? I know the A&M loss was a long time ago, but what did you kind of learn about your team over those 4 games?
Well, in 3 or 4 of those games, 3 out of 4, I think, we really we competed. We didn't blink. We got punched. We punched back. And I think that's what you want to see your team do. Obviously, our game in Waco wasn't good offensively, but we competed defensively, Danny. And so, in each of those games, I think, we took punches and we punched. And that's what you want to see your team do. So, I think that's part of the decision making. I think the thing that kicks me, and I'm always this way, I'm looking back at 3 games we should have never lost, and I wear that responsibility. And, it's just who I am and how I built. So, we'll learn from that. I hope our kids will, we can all learn from that, benefit from that, and then move on. And then in the future, again, like I wanted them to know tonight, you got bumped up to a 6. What if we would have taken care of business in those others? There's no telling where we'd be right now. So again, it's with this group, this team, it's a learning process. We're still a young, inexperienced, and immature basketball team. That hasn't changed, but we're growing, and to grow is to change, and that's what we needed to do throughout the course of the season. And that's where we are.
Bob Ballou, go ahead.
Nick, I know this is everything you work for is to get to this point in the year, but you seem happier. You seem more excited, and that's hard to do in some of the cases with you. Is this as good as it gets for you during the year?
It is. I mean, I don't know if it's as good as it gets, but this is such an important time of year, and it's what you work this is what you do in August when you're out there on the track going through preseason conditioning. This is why we do what we do and how we do it to get to this point in the season. And I think you try to tell kids in August, they can't see February and March, but I can. I know what we do in August and September out there on the track at 6 a.m. I know where that's going to pay off in February and March. And this is, it's an exciting time, and I'm extremely happy for my players. I love this team. I love these kids. They've shown me that they're willing to get all in and try to do things the way we want it done. I'm not saying that it's perfect. I'm not saying that everybody's 100%. Okay, let's do it this way and we're all in. But I do think we're a whole lot more in today than we were a month ago, 2 months ago, and 3. And that's what you want to see. You want to see the growth. And so I'm extremely happy for them. And, now I want to go to work and I want to get better this week. I don't want to stay status quo. I don't want to, let's go through the motions and just put in our time. No, I want to get better. I want to keep getting better. I want to keep challenging our team every day in practice. And so that's where we are. And typically my teams get better. They get better and from January to February, from February to March. And then once we hit March, we typically find a way to get hot. And that's the whole key when you get in these tournaments. You got to get hot. And, I think that's the challenge for this team. And so I was encouraged today with the way we worked out. I know they're going to come in ready tomorrow.
Dennis, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, how encouraged are you? For so long through the season, Charlie, how she went is kind of how the team went. But these last few weeks, everybody else has stepped up. How encouraged are you because it's all coming together?
Without a doubt, Dennis, you hit it on the head. I mean, she carried us, a lot of nights when we could really be struggling. And again, we wouldn't be where we are, but it's so encouraging now to see other players there. I've seen Joe and Celeste putting their time in. Kyra has always been that player that's come early, put up shots, put in the extra time. And so, Lauren is starting to play like she was before she went home at Christmas. And so, I can go down the list. Obviously, Ashley has been a player that on certain nights, man, she's really given us some good quality minutes. And so, Shay gave us some good minutes the other night in the Iowa State game. So it is very encouraging to see everyone. It's a basketball team. It's not track. You don't have your event. We are a team, and our team needs to play well together. And I think our chemistry is really coming. I think it's really shown in our last 6 weeks. Defensively, our chemistry has been much better, but now you're seeing our offensive chemistry really starting to pay off. And Kyra's always been that extra pass person. She's always been really good at that. So, again, it is something that I noticed this, and it's imperative that we continue to do that. Today in practice, boy, Celeste was making a lot of shots, and you're just sitting there going, man, the game's a whole lot easier to play. It's a whole lot easier to coach. When you got a guard that can make some shots for you, it really changes the dynamic of your team. And her and Joe now as I told y'all after the last few games, I've seen it coming in practice, and now we're starting to really show up in ball games with that, and that makes us hard to deal with now.
Thanks, Coach.
John High, go ahead.
Coach, the other day you talked about going into the NCAAs, teams can't go in tight. How do you avoid that with a young and inexperienced team? And how do you get them to go in there and be bulldogs instead of poodles, as you say?
Hey, just tell them just exactly that. Hey, look, number one, for us to really, I think we have to embrace the street fight mentality. I think we have to embrace it's got to be, loose ball. We got to get on the floor. And you saw that in the Baylor game the other night, the 50-50 balls, the going out of bounds, saving balls. We've got to be that team. Celeste has kind of been that player all year long, but it takes more than one. And so we've got to be that team. And, as I'll tell them, look, you go in there tight and all worried and all tied up, it won't be fun. It'll be over in a hurry. So you might as well embrace going in there and playing loose, playing like we've been playing, and read and react. That's to me. I mean, it's kind of like that batter that steps up to the plate. If you're sitting there on curveball and get 3 straight fastballs, you're done in a hurry. If you're all tied up guessing, you just can't function that way. And so for us, we can't be all tied up. We got to go turn it loose. We got to go play. We got to play with passion and emotion and be that team. And again, we got to be that team that wants it to be a dogfight. It's just got to be a physical. I don't want to say bloodbath, but I do. We've got to be that team that's got to want to be in that kind of a game and embrace that.
Kirk, go ahead.
Yeah, I was wondering, you mentioned 3 games that you felt got away you should have won. I was curious what kind of grade you'd give yourself for your first season here.
Oh, I mean, I'm really, I'm really hard on myself. I evaluate every day, every game, really every practice to an extent. But after every game, I constantly evaluate what we did, how we did it, those kinds of things. I evaluate. You guys don't know this, but I mean, and I think I've mentioned this before, but depending on where you play and who you play dictates what kind of basketball you play with. And, Nike schools play with Nike balls. Some play with Wilson balls, like we just played in the Big 12 tournament. Some play with a Under Armour ball. I mean, there's different basketballs out there. And if you're around me, which y'all haven't been, but you'll hear me say this a lot. Hey, I'll coach that too, And so when we go into like the tournament last week, I caught myself that first day going, hey, what balls do we play with in the tournament? I think it's Wilson. Get these Nike balls out of here, And so, that's just me. I'll coach it all. I'll coach the pregame meal. I'll coach the, getting on the bus. I'll coach the post game. I'll do it all if I have to make sure that it's right. So I'm not sure what the grade is, but I will say this. I wear the responsibility of it all. And if we haven't played well, if we haven't practiced well, the buck stops here. And that's kind of who I'll always be. If we miss something which we don't, my staff is tremendous on the scouts, but if we don't cover something, I'll make sure. And just like the other night in the game, I think it was an 8-point game and we line up wrong, defending a sideline out of bounds and gave them a layup. Again, when I pulled that kid off the floor, I'm immediately coaching them to know, hey, we can't line up like that. If we want them catching it going away from the rim, but this is my team, y'all. We're still coaching the simplest things that you would think anybody would know. We're still coaching that with kids that just quite frankly haven't been in that situation. And yet here we are. We're a 6th seed in the NCAA tournament. I mean, I couldn't be prouder of them.
You coach different in the postseason?
No, I don't think you coach different. I think you gotta be who you are. They're going to know I'm going to be ready. I think they've realized here lately, I'm pretty into what we're doing. I'm pretty fired up when it's game time. I'm not going to let, anything. If I don't think something's right, I'm going to make sure people know I don't think it's right. That's just me defending my kids and I'm in the fight with them, y'all. And I want them to know that, if they need to look and find somebody that's ready to play, they don't got to look any further than me. I'm ready to go. And I want them to embrace and kind of emulate that. I want them to be an extension of me on the court and be that person. I think our kids are classy, y'all. I think our kids play the game with class. I can't say that about every opponent we've played this year, but I think our kids, I'm really proud of how we've handled certain situations. And again, I think we're growing, we're maturing. We've embraced change. And again, I think that's why we're where we are right now.
Roger, go ahead.
Hey, Vic, you talked about getting better at the end. It's a cliche that, you get to see different teams that don't play you twice or three times. But your style, do you think that also plays into your success? You're not going to let teams walk it up, and maybe they can't emulate in practice or simulate in practice what you guys are going to show them in the game.
You are dead on, Roger. And it's just hard to emulate what we do. It's hard to simulate what we do. And so I do think that you get into this time of the year, it can be it can be a benefit for you and a positive. So, hey, it's just hard to get ready for, and so we're, as we get more players, more depth, it's just going to be a whole lot harder to deal with us. And again, I give our kids a ton of credit because even with our lack of depth, they have embraced playing our style of play and have really done a great job with it. And again, you lead the Big 12 in turnovers caused and turnover margin. You ain't standing around in a 2-3 zone playing hope you miss defense.
Got time for the last couple that are in the queue. Let's start with John High. Or sorry, Cedric, we'll go over
Yeah, I
you.
didn't have one. I'm sorry. I didn't take my hand down.
All good.
I got time, guys. I'm not going anywhere. So whatever you need.
Cedric, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't like being confused with John High. That's an ugly man. But Coach, Celeste Taylor has a beautiful jump shot, and we talked about early in the season. Never seen someone with such great form not make shots. So to see her knocking down threes, beating people off the dribble, mid-range game, putting it all together at the right time of the season, how does that bode for you guys moving forward, especially knowing that people are going to try to take off the head of the snake, Charlie Collier?
Well, yeah, I mean it. Look, she's really coming along and really starting to. I've seen her now for a week or two making some shots, and now to see her getting it done in games. I mean, the kid is special, and she's, again, as I said many times, she's my kind of player because she'll do it both ends. She's a tough physical kid. She's, she'll step in front of a freight train, take a charge. She'll rebound for you. She's that big guard that we really need. So. I'm happy for her, but I'm also happy for her because she's seeing the fruits of her labor. She didn't sit around and waller and self-pity. She went to work. We've talked about her shot and what I think, she can do to improve it. And I think she's done it. And again, today in practice, she was right back to making a bunch of shots. So, I catch myself sometimes telling her, hey, save some of those, would you? But that's a kid, again, that excites me about our future, knowing what what our future looks like with our current team, as well as what's coming down the pipe, what we have coming in. And again, I look for her to be, a leader for this team. I want some leadership from her. I want her and Joe to really embrace, again, I don't pass out the title of being a captain, but I think those two possess the qualities that I'm looking for to lead for me, my staff, and how we want it done.
Jeff Jones, go ahead.
Coach, from the time of the announcement, I don't know, an hour or so ago until the next practice, what's your process and how do you and the rest of the coaches divide up familiarizing yourself with Bradley?
Yeah, so I just met with the staff real quick. We broke down who's going to have what scout. Dominique Dillingham is, as soon as Bradley came up, she immediately goes and starts downloading every game that she knows I want, and then she'll have it on all our computers. We'll go home tonight. Each coach, again, one coach will help with both, with both. One coach will have one coach will have the other, and so it's a real busy time. But the fact that we have till next Monday is really different. Typically you're getting ready for a Friday game, and we've played lately the last 3 or 4 years. We had to play like at Friday at 1:00. And it was brutal. And yet we were still able to get 5,000 people in there for a 1:00 game. But then what it afforded us was a Sunday afternoon game with 10,000, and so that's the trade-off. But, we were either going to play Friday or Saturday. Now we're playing Sunday or Monday. Well, we got the Monday game. So we have a little bit of time. So that'll give us a chance to really make sure we cover all the bases and get our preparation on point. And again, we take great pride as a staff, making sure our kids are where they need to be when it comes to preparation. But it's a busy, long night for sure, because, typically we're cramming, all night tonight to be ready for a practice tomorrow. We'll do the same thing. We're going to get 2 good practices here before we leave. I got my men's practice team here. And so I hate to not use them right now, in the process. So we'll have some stuff on Bradley ready to go for practice tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.
Danny Davis, you're up.
Vic, obviously, this team has done a very good job of avoiding any issues related to COVID, but I'm kind of wondering, what is your level of fear or nervousness considering the Geno news today and just what you saw at some of the teams at the conference tournament this past weekend?
I tell them every day, Danny, don't let your guard down. And it's, my level hasn't changed. I'm always concerned. I'm always aware. I want them to be aware. We're constantly preaching and teaching. And so it's concerning, Danny. There's no question. And I think, again, I don't have enough time to tell y'all, but if you knew of all the restrictions of what we're fixing to be under, you can tell the NCAA is concerned also. So it's real life. This is where we are. We got to get through it. We've worked our rears off to be to this point. We've been so careful. I'm so proud of them. I think they were rewarded in some ways because they have done a great job. And so this is no time to let your guard down.
Roger, back to you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't lower my hand. Let me just hang out and
All right.
chat for a while, Vic.
Last one to you then, Kurt.
Vic, I was curious if you do anything special to keep your team loose so they don't get uptight. And does the NCAA tournament use Wilson or Nike balls? I was just curious.
Wilson. Yep. I'll just keep, we'll keep doing what we're doing. We'll keep encouraging them to do the things that we've been doing. Again, when the lights come on and you're out there on that stage, I'm sure there's going to be some nerves. There's no question, but you get rid of those the first 4 or 5 minutes and you go play. And the best way to do it is play your rear end off on defense, go get you some layups in transition, and that'll loosen you up in a hurry. So, I think for us, we've got to be who we are. And, again, and that's good enough. And that's what I'll tell them, let's be who we are. Let's do what we've been doing. And at the end of the day, that's good enough. We've seen, in my mind, the number one, 2 number 1-2s, if that makes sense. A&M and Baylor both deserve to be number 1s in my mind, and both won conference championships. And so we've seen both of them, and we know what that looks like. So there's not anybody that they can throw at us in my mind. And I've told our kids this now a couple of different times now since Saturday. There's nobody they can throw at us that we can't be ready for. We just got to go play.